Hello there, friend. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Rob Boss. Now, normally we would be in class together in person, but since we are all staying at home right now, we are streaming these classes online. In this episode, I'm going to take you on a journey of discovery. We are going to discover how color theory and resiliency go hand in hand. If you have the printout of the blank color wheel and your painting materials ready, go ahead and grab those now. The link to the materials I'll be using can be found in the description below, so you can follow along with me. Let's get started. As I mentioned, today we are talking about color theory and resiliency. First, I want to talk about resiliency. What does it mean to be resilient? You have a minute and a half to discuss with your neighbor what you think it means to be resilient. Ready, set, go! And welcome back. Thank you for sharing your answers. Here's my definition. Resiliency is when we are able to keep moving forward even when bad things happen. So that's resiliency. But what about color theory? Let's talk about it. Color theory is the set of guidelines developed to help us understand the science and art behind color. It's how we as humans perceive color and understanding how to mix colors and to use them to get an emotional response. In short, color theory is everything we know so far about how we see color, how we use color effectively in everyday and in art, and how colors make us feel. Now, today, our main focus will be on how color influences our emotions. But before we get there, let's review some basic color theory terms that will help us to understand what we're talking about. Now, here on my palette, I have 3 colors of paint: cyan, magenta, and yellow. These are called the primary colors. There are actually a few different sets of primary colors that are used for different things, since we experience color in 2 forms, light and pigment. The primary colors of light are red, green, and blue, which together make up white light. Pigment, which is what color in things such as flowers, paint, and other physical objects are made of. Now, depending on what pigment certain items contain, they reflect and absorb different colored light within the white light, which then reaches our eyes and we see that color. In kindergarten, we learned that red, blue, and yellow are the primary colors, but it is actually these cyan, magenta, and yellow colors that make up all of the colors we need. Now, let's make a quick color wheel for reference for later in our lesson. So if you have those materials from that list prepped, go ahead and grab them right now. So you're going to start off with some magenta, some yellow, and some cyan paint on your palette. Now, I've already got my blank color wheel over here. So we are going to start by putting our primary colors in their spots. So we will have 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock will be magenta. So let's get some magenta right over here. And you're going to fill up that whole section from 12 to 1 o'clock. All right, just like that. And we will wash off our brush in between each color. Now, yellow is going to go between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So take some yellow paint and get that all over that section. It's okay if you go outside the lines a little bit. Right, so there's yellow and magenta. We're going to wash our brush in between. Now, the cyan is going to go between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, right here. So get some cyan on your brush and fill that whole section in just like that. And wash your brush up. So now we've got 12 to 1 is magenta, 4 to 5 is yellow, 8 to 9 is cyan. And there should be 3 blank spaces in between each of these primary colors. So we've got our primary colors. Next, we have our secondary colors. Those are green, orange, and purple, which we get from mixing any 2 of the primary colors. So orange is a combination of magenta and yellow, and it's going to go in between 2 and 3 o'clock. So mix a little bit of orange, and mix yellow and magenta to get your orange, and we are going to fill 2 to 3 o'clock with orange just like that. All right. Wash your brush off and ready for the next secondary color, which will be yellow plus cyan equals green, which is going to go right here between 6 and 7 o'clock. So get some green on your brush, and we are just going to fill this up between 6 and 7 o'clock, just like that. All right. And the last secondary color is cyan and magenta put together, which we get purple, which is going to go between 10 and 11 o'clock. So get some purple on your paintbrush and fill that in. All right. How are we doing so far? Doing good? Great. So there we have our primary colors and our secondary colors. Now, there are spots on our color wheel. That's right. That is where we put our tertiary colors. Now, tertiary colors are the colors that we get when we mix any one primary color with any secondary color that is next to it. For example, if you mix yellow and green, you get the tertiary color that goes right here, which I believe is called chartreuse. So let's mix a little bit of yellow with a little bit of the green that we already mixed, and let's put that right here between 5 and 6 o'clock. So you can see you have you've got a yellow-green color by mixing yellow and green. So we're going to work our way around the color wheel, mixing each secondary color and primary color to get the color that goes in between, which is the tertiary color. So right here between 7 and 8, we will have green and blue mixed together, which gives us aquamarine or turquoise. Names of colors are fun. So 7 to 8 o'clock, we have this blue-green right here. And next we will mix blue and purple. Put that right here. Mix, mix, mix. So we get a really blue-purple, which goes between 9 and 10 o'clock. There we go. Wow, look, we're almost done. Next, we have a mixture of purple and magenta, which will go right between 11 and 12 o'clock. So let's mix some magenta with some purple and put that right here. A little bit more. There we go. All right. 2 more. And between 1 and 2 o'clock, we will have a mixture of magenta and orange, which should look kind of like a light red, depending on the paint that you have. Go. And last but not least, if we mix yellow and orange, we get yellow-orange. So let's mix that up right here and put that between 3 and 4 o'clock. Need a little more magenta in mine. Excuse me, a little more orange. There we go. Just like that. Ta-da! So now we have our primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Colors on this half of the color wheel are considered warm tones, while colors on the other side are cool tones. Now that's important, so remember that for later. Warm and cool tones play a large role in how colors make us feel, but we'll talk about that in a second. Right now, I want to know what your favorite color is. If you have one, I want you to share with your neighbor your favorite color and the first 3 words that pop into your head about how you feel about that color. For example, my favorite color is yellow. 3 words that pop into my head when I think of yellow are warm, cozy, and bright. You've got 30 seconds.
Thank you all for sharing. A lot of research has been done into how color affects how we feel, especially when it's used symbolically in things like film and media. Let me show you an example of what I mean. This photo was used in a cognitive science report on color and emotion. How does the change in color affect how you see this image? Turn to your neighbor and discuss what difference it makes in where you think the subjects of the photos are. So although these are all the same original image, one of them has been edited to have a bluish color scheme, which gives the impression of a colder climate, whereas the one that's edited to appear more yellow looks very, very hot and dry. Here are some examples of what feelings certain colors can represent, according to a couple of sources. Red, love, passion, danger, anger, also has been found to make people feel hungry when they see it. Orange, creativity, catches your attention. Think traffic cones. also associated with health and the fruit, obviously. Yellow, happy, cheerful, sunny, also catches attention, brings feelings of warmth. It can also symbolize illness or hazards in neon shades. Green, nature, American money and the dollar bill, peacefulness, calm. Blue, calmness, serenity or sadness, loneliness, a warning sign in nature against poisonous or spoiled food. Purple, magic, mystery, fantasy, and also the Vikings. Brown, nature, reliability, honesty. White, purity, isolation, emptiness, cleanliness, can be calming, associated with weddings sometimes, and sometimes funerals. And black, darkness, dependability, strength, grief, often has a negative connotation, which I personally disagree with, but that is a different lesson. So there you have a few examples of certain colors representing certain emotions and the emotions associated with some colors. Now, some of this comes from thousands of years of human history during which we've developed certain associations with certain colors. We had to learn what was safe to eat, and plants that are poisonous and animals that are poisonous often have wildly colorful patterning to ward off predators. Colors can also have different meanings in different cultures around the world. In modern times, we've come to connect colors with brands or things that we enjoy. Here's a little challenge for all of you. Next time you go out somewhere, notice which stores you see that have colorful signs and count how many of them share a color. Now, of course, how we feel when we see certain colors can differ wildly from person to person, so those examples are not universal. Different shades and tones of colors can also mean different things. But for the sake of today's lesson, let's assume that those meanings are the meanings for each color from before. Now, with that in mind,
let's see another example of how color can affect our emotions and also indicate to us as an audience how the creators of something wanted us to feel.
no one understands the gravity of this situation. Everything I have ever dreamed of is riding on this moment. They want me to make up my mind, but do they have any idea what it is like to be in my place? Hello in there? George, I know you're in there. Can we just talk? Fine, I'll just tell you from here. I know you've got a big decision to make. I mean, it's not every day that you get the offer of a lifetime. But Grandma, I don't want to go to the moon. My dream has always been to become the best Rubik's Cube genius in the world. I can't do that if I go to the moon. Do they really expect me to just give up on my dream at their command? And for what? Some moon cheese? I know that, dear. But everyone is counting on me. Apparently, because of the day I was born, I'm the only one who can harvest the cheese from the moon. They need me. How can I say no? I don't have a choice. George, honey, you know that I love you, right? Of course, Grandma. So trust me then. If you don't want to go to the moon to harvest the cheese, then I think the world will understand. You really think so, Grandma? I know so, George. But I just don't want to make the world upset for not going to the moon to harvest the cheese. It'll be okay, George. They'll have to send someone else, or just keep eating the Earth cheese. Yeah, Grandma, I guess you're right. Thanks. Thanks for watching that scene. Now, that scene did not use very much consistent color. It's clear how each character is feeling by what they're saying and doing, but by adding a few color elements, we can provide the viewers with more clues to really understand how the characters are feeling. So let's watch that clip again with some color added.
No one understands the gravity of this situation. Everything I have ever dreamed of is riding on this moment. They want me to make up my mind, but do they have any idea what it is like to be in my place?
Hello in there? George, I know you're in there. Can we just talk? Fine, I'll just tell you from here. I know you've got a big decision to make. I mean, it's not every day that you get the offer of a lifetime.
But Grandma, I don't want to go to the moon. My dream has always been to become the best Rubik's Cube genius in the world. I can't do that if I go to the moon. Do they really expect me to just give up on my dream at their command?
And for what? Some moon cheese?
I know that, dear.
But everyone is counting on me. Apparently, because of the day I was born, I'm the only one who can harvest the cheese from the moon. They need me. How can I say no?
I don't have a choice.
George, honey, you know I love you, right?
Of course, Grandma.
So trust me then. If you don't want to go to the moon to harvest the cheese, then I think the world will understand.
Do you really think so, Grandma?
I know so, George.
But I just don't want to make the world upset for not going to the moon to harvest the cheese.
It'll be okay, George.
They'll have to send someone else, or just keep eating the Earth cheese. Yeah, Grandma. I guess you're right. Thanks. All right, so now that we've seen what that looks like with a little color added into it, I want to know from all of you how you think that change affected the scene and how that scene made you feel now. I need you to try to name at least one change that you noticed in how that scene felt to you and why. Turn to your partner, and I want you to discuss that for 1.5 minutes, starting now. All right, thank you for taking the time to discuss that. Some changes that I noticed were that when the lighting was blue, I felt kind of sad for George. And when the lighting was red, it seemed like he was kind of angry, and everything seem more intense with the color. So you see, by introducing strong colors into that scene, we were able to get a deeper sense of what they were feeling. But how does all of that relate back to being resilient, you ask? Great question. Well, we can use color in our own lives to help us to be resilient. Again, resiliency is when we keep moving forward even when bad things happen. Sometimes it can be hard to be resilient when we feel like nothing is going our way, and we might feel helpless or powerless in a situation. I understand that feeling too. To be resilient, we have to make a choice, to find something to be happy about, and choose to keep going even and especially when keeping going feels impossible. Actually, I want to know what ideas you have for how to help yourself feel better when you're feeling down, or when something bad has happened. You've got a minute and a half to talk with your neighbor what you can do to help yourself feel better when you're feeling down. Those are all great ideas. We can also use color to help ourselves feel better. One way is by changing the colors in our environment. Now, I'm not saying you should go and paint one wall of your room all of a sudden, especially without permission, but you can take little steps to bring color into your life that can make you feel better. You could wear a color that makes you feel better, like yellow for feeling happy, or blue for calm, or wearing your favorite color if that makes you happy. Another way could be to draw or paint something and use the colors that make you feel a certain way and put it somewhere you can see it as a reminder to choose to think positively when life gets tough. Alternatively, using colors that reflect negative emotions and making art with them can help us to acknowledge the feelings and work through them. Negative emotions are not wrong or bad. It's okay and normal to not feel happy and cheerful all the time. But when we focus only on the negative emotions or ignore them entirely, it can become harder for us to pick ourselves back up and keep going. It's okay to cry if you're sad, or feel your anger or fear if that is how you feel. Feel those emotions when you need to, and then you can say to yourself, I am feeling blank. I am blank, and I will not be blank forever. I can be blank now because I know soon I will feel better again. And in that blank, you put whatever emotion you're feeling. So let's try that all together. Let's practice saying that out loud. And you can fill in that emotion with whatever difficult or negative emotion you struggle with. I'm going to say angry for myself, but you could say sad or angry or whatever you like. Repeat after me. I am feeling angry. Your turn. I am angry, and I will not be angry forever. Your turn. I can be angry now because I know soon I'll feel better again. Great job! Now, see, you just used your resiliency, and you can say that to yourself anytime you'd like, whenever you need help to pick yourself up and keep going. Now, there are some things that happen in life that are really, really hard, and we might feel like we can't imagine that anything would ever feel better again. It's times like those when we aren't sure how to be resilient on our own, we can always reach out and ask a trusted adult for help. Turn to your neighbor and take 30 seconds to come up with ideas for who is a trusted adult in your life that you could talk to. All right, friends, we are almost out of time. I have one last experiment I'd like to leave with you. To see how cool and warm light changes how someone looks, I want you to try taking a picture of something or yourself in front of an open window on a cloudy day and again on a sunny day. Compare the two photos and you can see the difference cool versus warm lighting makes you look. With that, friends, I am out of time. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this program, please make sure to like, share this post, and go ahead and follow us on Facebook at Climb Theater. Tune in live every day at 10 a.m. and 1:30 for more programming, and visit our website at climb.org for more information and follow-up activities that you can do with your families. If you have the ability, we are asking for donations so that we can continue to provide creative learning ideas for the mind and body while supporting our incredible staff and artists. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.